The red corner. Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to a brand new series I'm going to be doing, which I'm going to call
Irrelevant, boring, old, yesterday's news. Out the way, excuse me, we're coming in.
This is going to be a series based on my views on MMA and boxing. Mainly weekly, maybe every 2 weeks I'm going to try and put one out there. Depends on how busy I am, sort of thing. This is going to be where I'm sharing my opinions on boxing, my opinions on the current product that's being set out there by the big conglomerate companies that obviously show it on TV. And also we're going to be looking at, the new players, the streamers, where we have to pay a certain amount a month to get the coverage. It's fine by me, it's all the same, isn't it really? Except for a few things I'm going to go into today.
I love it when you talk dirty.
So, let's talk about my opinion on boxing overall as it stands. We're in a really good place, especially in Britain. Obviously Matchroom have done a really good job with Sky's products for the last, God knows, say probably 10 years. That's when I got into it, about 10 years ago. BT have backed Frank Warren and Queensbury Promotions massively. And then you've also got to take into account your other small hall shows like Fight Zone, and then the coverage they get on YouTube now as well, sort of through IFL, Boxing Social, the lot. There's loads of different content for you. If you ever wanted to get into it, there's loads of places where you can go to, and I'm just naming the big guys there. There's loads of other little channels that are doing all sorts. Still got Seconds Out, Behind the Gloves that tend to do more of the international scene, so they'll do American with ESPN and Showtime. There's loads of different ways for you to be able to get into this great sport, because it is a good sport. It's 1 versus 1. Who's the best out of the both people that are going into the ring, and normally there's a lot of respect shown afterwards, even if there is a lot of bad mouthing and foul language beforehand.
Yo, Dosser.
He's a dosser.
Dosser.
But my opinion currently is that, well, it's hard to really take away from the fact that Eddie Hearn's probably winning the entire. He's won the entire sport for the past 2-3 years.
He said that I could suck his nuts one by one. Well, I'm not really into hairy nuts or nuts at all.
I mean, Anthony Joshua was a great help to him. To get him in 2013, just right after London 2012, and just watch the projection that Anthony Joshua's gone on ever since. He's never ducked really anyone. And obviously we were all hoping he'd get the Fury fight over the line, and he tried his best. And unfortunately politics got involved. Arbitrators are there for a reason. Wilder ended up saying that he wanted to fight Fury again, and Fury didn't want to pay him 20 million to step aside.
Yo, Dosser.
He's a dosser.
Dosser.
I can appreciate that. I'm a boxing fan. Did I want to see the AJ Fury fight? Yes, like every other person that's here. But then, am I also that bothered about watching AJ Usyk Fury Wilder 3? No, because I think Wilder, for one, is going to come back a little bit stronger. Maybe even changed a few things, changed his background team. I mean, let's be fair to you, Deontay. You blamed everyone for your last defeat, so then you changed it. You got Malik Scott in there, knows a bit more about boxing. Probably, maybe, does he?
Your left hand coming up the middle, coming up the middle, coming up the middle, and eventually it's going to come around the side.
I don't know. I'm just a casual, as they call me. It's in a really good place at the moment, boxing. And Joe, what? I'm really looking forward to seeing. BT Sport, don't take this the wrong way, your shows aren't that great. You've got Lyndon Arthur, who beat your star Anthony Yard on the British scene. He beat him fair and square, and rather than doing a rematch because it was close and people are going to want to see that, you're actually putting them both on a card, co-main eventing against separate opponents. You're not building anything here, because the opponents you're putting them in with aren't that great.
Fact.
They're never that great.
Fact.
The last person the last fight I saw on BT Sport, which was competitive, was Dubois Joyce, and he even tried to make me pay for that. BT Sport for me are right down there. They need to improve it. They're lucky they have the UFC, in my opinion.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
In terms of top rank, they've got some great fighters on there. Obviously, they've got Lomachenko, they've got Josh Taylor. Those are just the big names. Obviously signing with Sky Sports, you're going to be able to watch a lot more of it frequently. It's obviously going to be early hours in the morning unless it's a Josh Taylor fight and he fights over here. But do I doubt that'll happen? It could do, hopefully it does, because Josh Taylor deserves all the credit in the world for unifying the division. Sky Sports now, like I just mentioned with Top Rank, they've signed that deal. They've also signed a deal with, I think, a company called Boxer, who used to do a show called Ultimate Boxer. Several events, through the year. Loads of content coming out. Is it going to be as good as it used to be? I highly doubt it. Don't get me wrong, Matchroom, I mean, you could watch a lot of his fights on Showtime. He used to make some stupid fights that were never really competitive. This is just going to be that every week. The thing is with Matchroom, it didn't really happen every week, or maybe the promotion behind it, you know, they made you believe it was something else. They were really good promoters, Matchroom. And then you've got ESPN Showtime. Gervonta Davis, biggest name on there at the moment. You know, they lost Canelo. Yeah, Gervonta Davis is carrying that brand. Are they going to get anyone else? They'll probably find someone else to try filter it through. They're still trying to look for a heavyweight to try push through there, you know. I think they've got a separate, I think Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, I think ESPN and Showtime have a deal where they can show that as well as Top Rank. So that'll be quite interesting to see in Fury Wilder 3. We'll probably end up paying big bucks all those Brits. And there's a new player in town, obviously, DAZN. I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed at what they've managed to pull off in terms of the broadcasting team they've got. I've watched a few of the shows recently where, you know, obviously I watched the Canelo fights, so they've had Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders and Yildirim. Yildirim was an easy walkover. Callum Smith I thought did give a good account of himself. You know, you've got the likes of Laura Woods to get an orbital socket fracture, whatever he had. He messed up his eye, bad time did Canelo. It's absolutely crazy. Honestly, it's mad because they've managed to pull over some of the best broadcasters that have worked in boxing that are currently, at this moment in time, as you'd say, sort of hot on the press. He took the mantle of TalkSport Breakfast off Alan Brazil and has carried it for nearly, I think, over a year now, you know, through COVID and all that. I still listen to it today. Very good show. You know, maybe Alan Brazil wanted to take a step back, I don't know, but she is bang on at her job. Maya Jama, and a surprise. But I think the thing is, and now a lot of people are saying it's obviously something to look at. That is completely and utterly not the case. They're clearly doing this for a very, 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 very conclusive reason. And the reason is that she reaches a demographic and could possibly bring more eyes to the sport than people give her credit for. I'm talking 16 to 24-year-old girls who are obviously growing up into young women. Social media is massive. She's got millions of followers on Instagram. You know, a lot of people are influenced by what she says, what she does. Cling, cling, motherfucker. She's massive. And to get them exclusively to boxing on DAZN's platform is massive. Laura Woods, because she's the new face of TalkSport. She does Sky Sports. She does the darts. She's worked with Matchroom in the past. They know how good she is at just mainly presenting. You know, it's great. Maya Jama, she'll probably do something influencing the social media side of it. She'll probably do a social show afterwards, you know, introducing some of the fighters, getting to know the fighters. And then, see, that's not the important bit though, that is just pure presentation. And you can tell with the intent that Matchroom have set out that they're looking to get a very, very, very strong, you know, precedent set in the UK. With Andy Lee, you've got someone that's trained top fighters, has been a top fighter, world champion, and is also very, very, when I've watched him on punditry, very, very clever, and he's very to the point, and he understands boxing. There's no bias with Andy Lee. There's no him being in that camp, or, you know, he's a company guy, you know, he works for this franchise now, so he's got to back the DAZN fight. There's no bias. He's completely 50-50 in the entire way. Come across really well on their streams. Chris Lloyd and Darren Barker. If you've ever watched any of the Matchroom YouTube stuff, or if you've watched any of the DAZN stuff as well, because I think they've done a few for DAZN, them during the week, the build-up, have been brilliant. The little talk show they do to interview a few of the fighters, build up a bit of a profile. It's all so clever. And Chris Lloyd is so underrated. As Eddie Hearn recently said in an IFL interview with Kugan that they've only just released this week, he said, you know, he's the new face of boxing. He will be. In terms of commentary and presentation, he'll probably take over UK's face. But he's been in the sport for years, and Darren Barker alongside him, former world champion again, in his own right. They know boxing. They preview the fights. They tell you what the tactics might be. It's really, really, really clever. It's kind of a take on what Dan Hardy does for BT Sport and the UFC. Yeah, it's just for boxing. And it's a really good watch. They manage to fit a lot in the 20 minutes that they get. It's fantastic to see. Tony Bellew, again, done a lot of work for Sky, former world champion, knows what he's talking about. Have I disagreed with him in the past on a few decisions? Yes, 100%. But that's going to be the same with everyone. Now, obviously, Eddie Hearn's good friends with Tony Bellew. This was probably going to happen at some stage. But I think that Tony Bellew is a good addition. He knows his stuff. Finally, the big pull, should we say, is Mike Costello. He's been doing the Olympics. I work for the BBC and on radio on boxing for a very, very, very long time, and they've managed to snatch him from the grasps of everyone else for DAZN. That is massive. If you spoke, or if you listen, or if you see any one interview about Mike Costello, you will find no one will call him biased, no one will say he's got a different narrative, no one will say that he has an initiative that he's trying to push through the broadcast that people like Matthew Macklin and Adam Smith at Sky have been, accused of in the past. It's going to be absolutely magic having him on their screen, having them there. He will bring a draw of boxing fans as well, and I'm talking about the hardcores. He will bring them to DAZN as well. Delivered what he promised. He said it was going to be fresh. He said it was going to be new. He said there was going to be people there's going to be some fresh new faces as well, all mixed in. That to me is a great bunch. That is unbelievable. And that's just the lineup. Like I said, the budgets that DAZN are pumping into Matchroom, because now they're producing the entire show rather than just the cards, is literally... the budget's there for fights. There's no issue, We can now see fights that we want to see. All these fights where it was cross-promotional, people that weren't thinking they were going to get paid, they're going to be starting getting made. You've got Fight Camp coming up. There will be fights on that card, or those cards, in that 3-week period that we would not have seen if this plan wasn't in place. It's an unreal deal. And I'm no Eddie bum boy at all, but I have to say, they've smashed it here. Smashed it out of the park. And I'm just talking about the UK, because we're the last place, basically, that they're trying to put the flag in. They're a global powerhouse, and they're taking over boxing, whether people like it or not. And you don't know the financials and all that sort of stuff in behind them. For now, just take it for what it is on face value. It is going to be unbelievable following them in the next few years, I'd say. Before I conclude, I want to talk a bit more about Fury Wilder 3. So it's just been announced that there's an all-heavyweight undercard. July 24th, pretty sure it's in Las Vegas, because that's where Tyson Fury fights now, because he's a fighting man. I didn't try to do the accent, I promise. That card, the undercard, obviously we're not expecting an awful lot, because they're trying to pump all the money into the main pay-per-view fight, because these two want to get paid millions, because Tyson Fury's just lost, apparently, approximately $40 million fighting Wilder instead of Joshua. And I think Wilder's probably going to get near enough his biggest ever purse. Hopefully, though, for Wilder, he doesn't wear his big gown with his big mask because he's the bronze bomber, blah, blah, blah. No, don't do that. Make sure you check Tyson's gloves for eggs or whatever, rubber eggs or whatever you put in. It's just one of them things. I'm really looking forward to this fight. And I know people wanted AJ Fury. I know they wanted it. But I think that if this happens now, we'll still see Fury AJ down the line. It won't be undisputed, because I doubt that the commissions are going to want to they're not going to want to put their plans on hold for this one mega fight where they'll get a sanctioning fee from it. It just doesn't make sense, even though the belts are advertised, even though everyone wants to see an undisputed champion. That's just not what they're going to do. They're not like that. Do you know what I mean? They're just not like that in the slightest, and we have to accept that. But guys, listen, thanks again. I know I'm rambling a lot. I am trying to get better at this. I'm very new to this. However, I hope you've enjoyed the first episode of In the Red Corner. Be safe. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know. Yeah, let me know what you think of this down below. Tell me if you want to see any more. I'll see you in the next one. See you later.